Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts. Tonight is Friday. It is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you do not know, you probably do. That's why you're here. We go live every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our regular weekly roundup. So we're going to... What is that? Timeout? What are you giving, like, gang signs?
Eastern Standard Time.
Time. Get it. I get it. Like, timeout. It's November 3rd, 2017. We're so glad that you're with us. So what are we going to start out with today, Leah?
Kind of a weird intro.
As Mom microwaves her leftovers.
What are we going to start
We don't microwave.
That's kind of a weird intro. What are we going to start with?
Well, we have a lot to cover. I mean, we got Jeff Sessions, which is probably why people are coming, because that's the, introduction that we have. But I'm seeing Pocahontas here. La, 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 la,
well, she's one of the reasons. I wanted to recap this last night.
Yes.
Because, if you can't tell, sometimes I have been very excited today. I would like for my excitement to come out of my body.
Get it out like it's like an excitement
so
exorcism.
That you can catch the rhythm. What's that song? Feel the rhythm. That Gloria Estefan song.
Come on.
No,
shake your body, baby, do that conga. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga.
Yeah, that's that one. Yes, shake it up.
Rhythm. I don't know words, but we'll sing to you anyway. We will make up.
The DNC is so messed up now. They are caught in the mud.
That didn't rhyme with anything.
And the swamp.
No.
I'm trying. Okay, so I'm actually really excited about this. I fidget with things. I random pick up pens and everything, whatever.
Yesterday you were said to have the OCD.
Yeah, I'm just kind of that way. But I have a lot of things going in my mind, and I have to get it out in my physical being sometimes. I don't know. Okay, so thank you for joining us here. And I've been trying to figure out where to start, but I want to blurt out everything. Bernie Sanders hasn't said anything, but the election was rigged against him.
And I think he knew about it the whole time. So somebody had left a comment saying, and I said, oh, this is very good. If Bernie knew about it and he was in on it, then a lot of this money that he's taking in was fraudulent because he knew he wasn't going to get the nomination.
Right. So Elizabeth Warren came out saying, yes, of course it was rigged. And Donna Brazile, she wrote this book now, and everybody...
But Elizabeth Warren knew about it too, though.
And not only did she know about it, but she actually tweeted out to President Trump, though, which she says here, it's not rigged, dear real Donald Trump. You're losing fair and square. Put on your big boy pants. This is what accountability looks like. So she is schizophrenic, bipolar, or has multiple personalities.
I think the baseline would just be insanity. Like, she's insane.
But
you cover a lot. That's
we do want to go over this little gem here. If you didn't watch our coverage last night, this is fun. All this is incredibly fun for me.
Test for Tom Perez, and either he's going to succeed by bringing Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders representatives into this process, and they're going to say it's fair.
What happened?
It's Twitter. They never play right.
It works. We all believe it. Or he's going to fail, and I very much hope he succeeds. I hope for Democrats.
We played this last night.
I hope for Bernie and for all Bernie.
No, I know. I'm letting other people know.
Very quickly, Senator, do you agree with the notion that it was rigged?
Yes.
Rigged and stolen election primary. Earlier today,
we didn't play Hannity's version of it.
Right. So if you didn't watch, remember, I don't know if you were with me last night, I said that I had watched 4 hours the 2 previous days of Tucker and Sean with nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, they blew it out of the park last night, which I watched this morning. Both Tucker and Sean Hannity, everything that the shooting in Manhattan, we do want to, keep that, not the shooting, the trucking, whatever to call it.
The truck of peace.
The truck of peace, right. We do want to keep bringing you updates on that, but it kind of took the steam away from... Is she trying to get up on the couch?
I don't know what she's doing.
Steam away from taking down Hillary Clinton, which is what we all have wanted to happen pretty much our entire lives. And what happens is the newer stories which the Uranium One deal is relatively new. I mean, 2009, 2010. You know, these are relatively new stories. These aren't like, you know, Bill Clinton-esque things. And, you know, the DNC rigging the election just happened this year. So,
Patriot Gallery.
I just want to say that we've been through this when you give your word to somebody. But if you've been tricked into giving your word, like Jeff Sessions, by criminals,
right,
then you can't keep your word
exactly
to a criminal, because then you become a
True.
criminal.
Absolutely.
So Jeff Sessions has become a criminal. Instead of
Right.
enforcing the law,
right,
he's actually breaking the laws.
Exactly.
You can't keep your word.
Rebellion to rebellious laws, obedience to God. And the problem is Jeff Sessions, I believe, is actually such a stickler to the books. By recusing himself in the very beginning, he now is saying, I can't touch Uranium One, I can't touch the Clintons, and now, like...
It's like, dude, then you can't do your job.
But the problem there, the hiccup there, is if Trump relieves him of duty... it's not just, he can't just appoint somebody else without having to go through the whole congressional Senate committee. The Senate committee hearings and stuff like that. So that would actually detract, I believe, from what is happening right now. Now, I wanted to show you that Trump has, thought I had it up.
This is your sneak preview of what's coming.
Yeah, your sneak preview of what's coming. Trump tweeted out, in a Daily Caller here, at Tucker Carlson. He said, very good intro. It was hilarious to me. I believe while he was watching it. I don't know. So,
Get big, Tucker.
It's not getting big.
Here, it's possible the Trilateral Commission was involved, but the more likely and in fact far more terrifying explanation is incompetence. The people running this case don't really know what they're doing. You hate to conclude something like that, but it's becoming hard not to, especially when you consider the Las Vegas case in its larger context. This is not the only federal investigation that has shaken public confidence recently. Consider some of the others. The FBI had Omar Mateen under surveillance for 10 months, and yet somehow didn't hinder his planning or execution of the Pulse nightclub massacre. The FBI was also apparently aware of New York City killer Sayfullo Saipov, Fort Hood shooter Nadal Hassan, Boston bomber Tamerlan Tsarnaev, and a list of other killers, but failed to stop any of their attacks. How come?
Because they wanted it to happen.
Famously investigated Hillary Clinton's email server for more than a year, during which time, for some reason, the Bureau gave immunity to several top aides. No obvious reason, and failed to tape record key interviews. Why is that? Speaking of emails, the FBI never examined the DNC's email server after it was supposedly hacked. Instead, they just accepted the claim of a private contractor employed by the Democratic Party that the hacking was the work of the Russian government. Why didn't one of the Bureau's many tech teams conduct its own investigation of a matter this important and politically sensitive? Meanwhile, in case after case, the FBI's supposedly incorruptible white-collar division has leaked sensitive details of current investigations to the press. How does behavior like that restore public confidence in federal law enforcement? It doesn't, of course, and it shouldn't. We have a right to be worried about the FBI. There is no more powerful federal agency in this country. They can read your email, they can root through your bank records, they can break down the front door of your house and arrest you in front of your children.
Yes.
Lying to them is a federal crime. We need to be absolutely certain the FBI is worthy of the power we give them. What is happening in Las Vegas right now is one of many reasons to wonder if they are.
Okay,
Well done,
so that
Tucker.
was really powerful, and Donald Trump tweeted out the Tucker Carlson opening statement about our once cherished and great FBI was so sad to watch. James Comey's leadership was a disaster.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty powerful stuff happening right now, going down, shaking. So everything comes together, and it's hard for me to keep a stream of thought because Uranium One is connected to the FBI corruption, the CIA corruption, connected to the Manhattan, I want to keep saying shooting, trucking incident, Hillary Clinton going down, then you have Donna Brazile. The question is, what possessed this woman to put this in a book?
And you know what? Books have to be written a little while before they are actually published.
She says that she told Bernie Sanders about it in September.
Wow.
And so, and he hasn't come out. So that has to
It
say
means
a lot.
It says that he knew about it.
Right.
That's exactly what it says. He was in on it. And I think he's afraid if he comes out now, like with, both guns blazing, like he could, theoretically, that something's going to come out later and it's going to be uncovered that he knew about it all along. And I think that is going to be what happens.
This is the link I was in my list. My head I wanted to bring up. Now, I don't watch The Morning Joe anymore. I watched him during the election because I thought that he was a little bit more fair and balanced. However, somebody shared this clip where one of the Morning Joe correspondents is interviewing Chucky Schumer, and just listen to his response when he's asked about the DNC.
Elizabeth Warren said earlier today that based on new reporting from Donna Brazile in a book that the 2016 primary was rigged. Do you agree?
I haven't read her book. I don't know the details, so I'm not going to make a judgment on that.
Do you have any concerns about the DNC's involvement in the primary in 2016?
Again, I didn't follow it. I'd like to see what Donna Brazile has to say. I will read it, but...
Bernie Sanders has never complained about this to you before?
Oh, he's complained all the time.
Casey, Senator Schumer didn't follow the 2016 presidential...
That was my question.
Boy, that's a
oh my God! I was a little taken aback when the senator said that. And, Bernie Sanders is in his leadership team. And if any of you, we have dramatically understated so far this morning the depth of anger among Bernie Sanders supporters.
So, The Morning Joe has actually been incredibly sympathetic to Bernie Sanders supporters. Joe Scarborough does not like the Clintons, but he is let's just say he's a
puppet, just like every
puppet.
single...
Yeah.
Even these people right here. Do you really think that they came out with that kind of shock and surprise and willing to throw Chuck Schumer under the bus all on their own? No, this is a talking point. This is the memo that got put out. They've been released. Let the dogs out. Now you can go after this select group of people.
Right, exactly. And I did watch a lot of this episode where they pat themselves on the back and they said, we knew this was happening. We told people about it.
We didn't.
Blah, blah, blah.
We did.
Yeah. And it is kind of weird why they are throwing Hillary under the bus, but they're not throwing Bernie under the bus, which if she goes under, he goes under, because he did not fight her. I watched it from the very beginning. I saw that those debates were rigged because there were things in the mainstream media that told Bernie that said, you better pull back on your attacks on Clinton or we won't give you another debate.
Right.
And the only way he was going to get his message out there was through a debate. Now, funny side story is what is coming back out into the news a little bit is Bernie Sanders in the 70s, when he was 30 years old, wrote a ridiculous little tiny one-page piece of quote fiction where he talks about women's and men's rape fantasies. To which he said it was a stupid piece of fiction and blah, blah, blah. If it's in the news now. It was in the news in 2015, but it just goes to show you that he was caught up in
I often stop and
craziness.
ask myself if I were to ever be in a public office or have the limelight on me, what skeletons in my own closet would be dug up. Granted, I don't have that many skeletons in my closet, so I'm good to go. But you do stop and ask yourself, what if A, B, and C ever came out? That would be a little embarrassing. So, Bernie, you've been holding this for almost 60 or 50 years.
People have actually called him out on it throughout the years.
40, 50 years.
Yeah. But I did want to show you this. This is one day on the Washington Post media. I think this is, what they say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 15 stories negative against Bernie Sanders in one day. What did Bernie Sanders still doesn't get about arguing with Hillary Clinton? Bernie Sanders' 2 big lies about the global economy, mental health patients to Bernie Sanders, don't compare us to GOP candidates, and it just goes on and on and on. So it just goes to show you that the mainstream media, somebody put this out there, this was always my favorite, Clinton questions whether Sanders is qualified to be president, Sanders' incorrect claim that Clinton called him not qualified for presidency. So that was fun for me. I just love watching these crazy people go after each other. Now, this is a Bernie Sanders supporter, and this is reminiscent of all Bernie supporters.
They want to anoint that little effing whatever she is. We're going to lose to Trump, and it's on them. The games that they played and what they have done to us, good luck in November. You don't have our vote, you don't have our money, and Trump's going to flatten you like a pancake,
Hillary.
I think that really does wrap up the sentiments of the Bernie supporters, and we know many of them because a lot of them follow us.
Yes. So that was really fun. I wanted to bring you this Zero Hedge article because this is huge. This is the bombshell thing. And this all ties into Jeff Sessions, and pretty much everything that we're showing you should be investigated by Jeff Sessions. If you watched Sean Hannity, he literally the entire hour, it seems, every time he would bring up another thing against the Clintons or even Podesta or anybody, or talking about Uranium One, he's like, where is Jeff Sessions? And everybody's like, even Sarah Carter from Circa News, who broke the story with the guy from the Hill, or brought in new information. Sean was interviewing Sarah Carter and I forget the other guy's name, but saying, where do we go from here? And she's like, that's the question. Where do we go from here? We have to put pressure on the DOJ. The problem is that a bunch of congressmen had met in a room with Jeff Sessions, and I guess the guy is Rosenstein and his crew. And they say that they asked Jeff Sessions what he was going to do, and he says, I can't do anything about anything that has to do with the Clinton Foundation or Clinton anything or Russia. And he got himself out of the room and recused himself. And they were left staring at Rosenstein's dudes, and they're like, nope, that's not what we're going after. So pretty much that's the deputy DOJ is, and he actually has to be investigated himself, because he was involved in this particular thing, the Uranium One, with Mueller and Eric Holder, the DOJ from Obama's era. So
Sessions is this close from losing his job. I mean,
yeah,
I think we're all ready every day to wake up to that news.
But the problem is if he's gone, another person has to go through the entire process.
I know.
And it might throw things off.
I'm not saying that I want it to happen. I don't have an opinion one way or the other.
Trump said it's going to come to blows with him and Jeff Sessions.
I know, but I'm saying that's what's going to happen, right. and yeah, it's going to be bad, and it's another person out of the Trump cabinet, and I feel like it's deliberate though to create this atmosphere of chaos, and the question has to be asked: why is it that Jeff Sessions, like you just reiterated that conversation, why he can't? He's not saying that he can't because it's not within his jurisdiction or it's not within his powers or whatever. Like, I think that is like
morals.
I can't do it.
His own morals that he recused himself. The
morals
same thing,
or fears that he's going to be on the Clinton body bag list and something's going to come out.
He gave his word. He recused himself. He's a man of his word.
But that's just it. We've been caught giving our word before.
Right.
He has to decide which word he gave.
Right.
Will obey the law.
Exactly.
If he keeps the word of reclusing himself,
right,
then he disobeys the law.
Right.
But if he keeps his word to uphold the law and bring justice to America, which is his job,
right,
he has to die. He's going to do his job, or is he going to resign?
Right.
So I'm just saying, maybe we have a difference of opinion here. Michelle's opinion is that I think there's more to it than him just being a stickler for the rules. Leah's is that he just feels like since he's already recused himself, he can't go back in. I'm saying I think that if he was free in other areas, then he would go in.
I think he's a goody two-shoe. I think he's like the same mindset. You know what it's like when you're a Christian and you say you're going to do something. There's nothing you can do that will make you break your word. That's what I think. Anyways, okay, so
if I was Sessions and I had the opportunity to take,
but you're not
down,
Sessions.
I would do it.
You're not Sessions. If you're raised in the Christian mindset that you don't lie and you keep your word, you actually. That's what Mama's saying. You have to break when you're forced into doing something, then you have to turn back, right? But I don't think that Jeff Sessions knows that yet, Right. It's like a friend of ours that we know who would vote.
But then he's not qualified to be doing his job if he doesn't get it. You have to take the highest the highest moral ground, what would be the absolute right thing to do. The spirit of the law brings life, the letter of the law kills.
Right.
You know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he has the ability to do that.
But I think there might be more to it.
Okay, Obama administration lied. New memos reveal uranium-1 exports to Europe and Asia via Canada. So this is huge news. It's actually not new news. Tucker Carlson has had several people on saying, yeah, the uranium-1 deal, because he's asking everybody, why would we sell 20% of our uranium to the Russians? And Sean Hannity even said, we don't even have enough uranium. We have to import uranium. So why would we sell our uranium to another country? Why wouldn't we keep it here in America? Well, it was owned by a Canadian company. That still doesn't make any sense either. But I guess we're not in war with, the Canadians, I guess, are our mortal enemy or something. However, the big talking point that everybody said was, it didn't leave the country. It didn't leave the country. And Tucker kept saying, yes, it did. It went into Canada and went over to Europe. It went into Canada. And he said it over and over and over and over and over and over again because he knew the truth. Well, finally, they were able to print out this truth, this memo. And so, let's see. The Hill points out today assurances that the U.S. uranium would not be exported to foreign countries was a key sticking point when Congress viewed the deal back in 2010. As such, repeated assurances were provided that such exports would never occur. Here are just a couple of examples of those assurances. Quote, no uranium produced at either facility may be exported. That's the NRC declared in November 2010 press release. A year later, the nuclear regulator repeated the assurance in a letter to Senator John Barrasso. There were many Republicans who did not want this actually to go through, which is key to think about here. We had Republicans saying we don't want to deal here business-like with Russia with our uranium. And you had Democrats saying, oh, well, why can't we work with the Russians, right? Neither Uranium-1 Inc. nor AMRZ holds a specific NRC export license. You have to have a license in order to export uranium. In order to export uranium from the United States, Uranium-1 or ARMS would need to apply for and obtain a specific NRC license authorizing the exports. So it goes on and on and on. However, these new memos obtained by the Hill confirmed that Uranium-1 Yellowcake left U.S. shores, and not just a little bit. And it was the Obama administration that actually bent the rules to let this slide under the radar.
Started this in a truck.
Is huge.
In Kentucky.
So the NRC memos reviewed by the Hill shows that it did approve the shipment. It did approve the shipment of Yellowcake uranium, the raw material used to make nuclear fuel and weapons, from the Russian-owned mines in the United States to Canada in 2012 through a third party. So it's going through all kinds of hands that you can't control or keep an eye on. Later, the Obama administration approved some of that uranium going all the way to Europe. They promised, they broke their promise, they lied. The NRC officials said they could not disclose the total amount of uranium that Uranium-1 exported. It was from 2012 to 2014. The NRC officials told the Hill that Uranium-1 exports flowed from Wyoming to Canada and onto Europe in those years I just mentioned. Of course, given his repeated assurances to the contrary, Obama couldn't simply allow Uranium-1 to ship uranium to the nearest port of export. So this involves Obama. He instead signed a waiver underground. This is like paying somebody under the table. Because you're like, I won't charge somebody too much taxes, so I'll just pay him under the table. Signed a waiver allowing a Kentucky trucking company to carry the product across the Canadian border and then approved export from Canada to Europe. Now, what we're not hearing in the news about Sapov is that he was running 2 shell trucking companies and he was trucking things across the country. Was he involved in this? It's very possible. Russia and Uzbekistan are really close to each other, and it's highly possible that he was involved.
So the Russians owned these mines here.
Yes.
That's problem number one. That
yes.
The Russians own.
Well, they bought them from a Canadian company, but yes.
It's a problem that the Canadian companies owned the mines.
Exactly.
Okay, there's a big problem that we have with foreign entities owning things
especially
on American soil.
things that we have and we
natural
need
resources
and we have to buy.
Exactly. So they own the mine, and the idea was that if they're going to mine the uranium here, that they have to sell it back. Sell us back our own uranium.
Right.
Yay.
Remember,
but instead, it actually was approved to leave the country. And for those of you that aren't following, I wanted to make that clear, how that whole system works.
Okay, so yeah. So this special waiver, the NRC authorized in 2012 an amendment to an existing export license for a Paducah, Kentucky-based trucking firm called RSB Logistics Services to simply add Uranium One to the list of clients whose uranium it could move to Canada. The license, reviewed by the Hill, is dated March 16th, 2012, and it increased the amount of uranium ore concentrate that RSB Logistics could ship to Cameo Corp plant from 7.5 million kilograms to 12 million kilograms, and added Uranium One to the other parties to export. The move escaped notice in Congress.
Aww.
And while it will be dismissed by the left as a convenient attempt for Republicans to change the Russian collusion narrative, Senator Chuck Grassley and others are finally starting to press for a special counsel. What I love that he did say, this isn't in this article, but when talking about anyone calling for a special counsel to investigate, what happened is a special counsel was convened when Trump dismissed Comey on the advice of Jared Kushner, and everybody's throwing Jared Kushner under the bus, rightfully so. It was a bad idea. However, what you have now is you have to have another special counsel to look into the Uranium One. Another special, the Trigality we played last night. You need to have like a couple special counsels. One to look into the Clinton Foundation's connections. Right. And then you have to have one to look into like this DNC craziness going on. One to look into the dossier, as Sean Hannity and Sarah Carter were pointing out, and everybody's pointing out. This onion has layers that we keep peeling back every day. It's actually exciting to peel them back. And I told Patriot Gallery Mom, I said, listen, what's going to happen is one of two things. If they don't convene a special counsel and start to at least to pretend to investigate Hillary Clinton like they pretended to investigate her under Comey. That was a pretend investigation to get us to say, you know, he'll come up with something. He'll do his job, right? So it was letting steam out of the pressure cooker. However, they're not letting any steam out of the pressure cooker, and it's going to keep building up. Every news story. And I would rather, because as Devin Nunes pointed out, the FBI is corrupt. He pointed it out last night on Laura Ingram's show. He's like, the FBI is complicit in all these things, basically. Is what
and Laura Ingraham was kind of like a little bit shell-shocked.
That's a pretty intense...
right.
Yes, we all know. I'm hoping that the CIA and the FBI, that's the deep state, will explode. So the more pressure, the more things that come out, the more truths that come out. We're now finding that the major collusion in the election, a person who rigged the election, was Hillary Clinton. She rigged the election. Her entire campaign rigged the election. Who's the third guy that was up on the stage? Can anybody say his name? Did he have a chance?
No.
There was a third dude. It wasn't just Bernie Sanders. There was another guy before. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure that these people know.
There was another dude who was running, but he didn't get a chance. Right? Nobody knows whose name is anymore. It's like it didn't exist. All right. So, Grassley. The more that surfaces about this deal, the more questions it raises. It now appears that despite pledges to the contrary, U.S. uranium made its way overseas as part of a Uranium One deal. What's more disturbing, those transactions were apparently made possible by various Obama administration agencies while the Democrat-controlled Congress turned a blind eye. Now remember, everybody is still there. There haven't been a bunch of firings and rehirings. We have thousands upon thousands of federal employees in all of these departments, and they're all still there. How can they investigate themselves? They can't. They can't. The lid has to blow. It has to blow. Americans deserve assurances that political influence was not a factor in this. Of course it was. I'm increasingly convinced that a special counsel, someone with no prior involvement in any of these deals, good luck finding one in Hollywood.
See, that's your brain is already
should
making the
shine
connection.
a light on this ordeal and get answers to American people. Yes, and remember Obama's open mic when he says, after my election, I'll have more flexibility to Putin. So how come Obama in 2012 can tell Vladimir Putin?
That wasn't Putin, though. Who was that guy?
That was the guy who said, "I'll tell Vladimir."
Okay.
That's a spokesman for Vladimir Putin.
Okay, I didn't hear him say that. Very good.
Yeah, this is kind of a thing. It's kind of a thing that everybody knows now.
I guess Michelle doesn't know.
Shh, pretend like
shh. I mean, yeah, that's right.
Okay, so it's fine. Anyways, this hot mic thing caught Obama in 2012. There was so much Russian collusion going on between Clinton State Department, Bill Clinton, the guy, the Rosenstom but it was 10X. I'm sorry, I get them mixed up. Rosenstom is the Russian company that was involved in this uranium deal with the trucking company. It was a company called, I believe, 10X. Let me see. I'm going to get my companies right because there's the Canadian company who owned the rights. And one of the CEOs of that company was on the Clinton Foundation board. And obviously he stood to gain from the sale of this company to the Russians.
Right.
But Sarah Carter wrote Circa News, Sarah Carter wrote an article about an employee. I know that she lobbied for 10X. And then she became, on behalf, to show them how to lobby the U.S. government. And then she became part of this whole deal, like into the government. I'm going to look this one up.
So let me get to a couple of the comments here. Let's see.
Here it is.
So Otto thinks that Kamala Harris is the literal definition of political prostitute, will be the Democratic nominee in 2020.
That's okay. No one will vote for her.
Very good.
All the Bernies hate her just as much as they hate Clinton. True. I don't know much about her, to be honest, but I know that on my Facebook page everybody hates her. So
Jack says it seems it's the supposedly higher educated people that don't care about the country. Politicians don't give a flip about us. Very true. They are in it just for power and for money. Robert Goddard says the difference between yellow cake and uranium is that yellow cake is a concentrated form of uranium ore containing a mixture of oxides, while uranium is the element with atomic number 92 and symbol U.
That's good to know. The way somebody put it for me was that the U.S. uranium is much more refined, and that they don't have that same capability to refine uranium as we pointed out in Astana, Kazakhstan.
Patriot Gallery.
I just wanted to add, I was watching all this and all this stuff going, and we were tying it all together with Hollywood and D.C. All these people have been practicing mind control on all this, just like communist country. They put their children in school and teach them that the state is God. And so all of us had mind control on us. And when you think about Paddock, and you think about this, what's his name, Saipov, the guy who used the truck. You know, the truck could be controlled remotely.
Yeah.
His mind could be controlled. I mean, we can't put anything out of the realm of the CIA and the NSA and FBI.
Title it.
I mean, they've been killing us for years. I mean, they're just murderers.
What is what? Never mind. I have the article up that I was gonna. I thought I did. Where'd you go, Sarah?
All right, so I tried to fix the lighting. Somebody said it was dark.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure that actually helped. Worth a Look says people in the shadows control the government, and that's why they're called the shadow government.
I accidentally closed this out. Okay.
Hollywood will lead all the way to D.C. very soon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Praise the Lord. Her name is Cheryl Moss Herman. She's an official with the United States Department of Energy. And she produced a detailed report in 2010 for a Russian nuclear company when she was a private energy and environmental consultant. The document Moss Herman wrote as a consultant in 2010 was for the 10X, according to the consulting memorandum she provided to the Russian subsidiary and obtained by Circa. 10M is a fully owned U.S. subsidiary of 10X, which is 100% owned by the Russian state-controlled nuclear company Rosatom. That's just hard to keep track of everything. Okay,
I think you do pretty well.
Uranium One is the Canadian company that was bought by Rosenstom. Stommy. Yes. We have. Yes, my brain is now functioning. Okay, So, this woman gave advice to this company on how to lobby the government to which she was then employed in.
That's how it kind of always ends up.
That cannot be right. That cannot.
But it is right, Leah, because everybody knows that you don't get into power, even Trump being elected. All right. One hand washes another. Nothing. I mean, you look at Hollywood. There are some like ugly, bad acting people. You wonder, like, let's look at Nicolas Cage. How the heck did that guy get famous? We look at all of these people like Jared Kushner. He's some washed out, little puny, kind of social justice warrior looking guy. How is he now one of the top influencers in all of America?
World.
Thank you. It's who you know. You go in, you lobby, you do these things, you scratch somebody's back, you drop them $100,000.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. It's not. And guess what? You want to know how he knows these people? Education. Way back, and Alex Jones said his dad was picked out. Way back in the 50s and 60s, the reason they started standardized testing was so that they could go and pick out people who were incredibly intelligent.
Right.
Okay? And they would pick those people out, and they would like say, hey, I'll give you a full scholarship and you can go. And then they put them into like political fields. They put them into IT fields.
It's not just intelligence, though. And I think you have to have an aptitude for corruption.
Well, sure.
You have to pass that test. It's a slimy test.
Right.
It's kind of like the gaydar, right? You can go in and like, I can just sense it, okay? But most of the time, a gay person can definitely sense when another person is a homosexual. They just know it.
Well, and
it's the same with, okay, we sense that you will be corrupt like the rest of us.
It's passed down from generation to generation, which is why you see three generations of Bushes out there. You've even got Bush Jr.'s daughters, trying to be in Access Hollywood and tell us, they're all hobnobbing around.
Right.
So it's definitely, generational curses there. But I want to just kind of go back to this Moss woman who she said, or her little policy thing was titled "Policy Legislative Issues Affecting the Business Climate in the U.S. for the 10X." The memorandum discussed the Department of Energy's uranium regulations, and she is now employed at the Department of Energy's office. Nuclear energy develops sustainable fuel cycles.
Purely coincidental.
Yeah, Richard Painter, former chief White House ethics lawyer for President George W. Bush, told Circa that although no laws were broken regarding Moss Herman's work as a consultant for the Russians, prior to her work with the U.S. government, there is a strong ethical argument that consultants who have worked for foreign entities could pose a significant problem when dealing with national security interests. I mean, Flynn just worked as a consultant for military and security for Turkey, and he had to resign.
Well, there was more to it than that, but yeah, that's what they used.
Painter said background security checks on incoming U.S. governments are very lax and blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to point that out as well. Now, I want to jump. We're going to take a jump here to...
Like a light jump, like
there's
Star Trek.
Yeah, see, we're going to Las Vegas here because obviously everything just ties together. And Tucker Carlson had on a lawyer who is representing... some of the victims, and he has seen some evidence, more than we know. And at the end, Tucker Carlson does ask, why are we learning the only stuff we learn from some lawyer? Why can't we learn from the police or the FBI? So, okay.
We learned several things. Number one, we do know that the FBI has taken all of the bullet marks and all of the bullet holes and assumed all the bullets. The other thing that was interesting is that all of our clients were telling us that on the night of the shooting that there was nowhere to go. Now, come on, we can see that there's exits in the plans and the maps, and then when you're actually there, you can see that most of the exits were blocked. Many of the exits were behind fences, and there was only really 2 places in which to escape. And that's very concerning, especially when people got hit and killed 10 minutes after the shooting started.
Is there any indication, or have you seen any evidence that the FBI had knowledge of Stephen Paddock? Anything about Stephen Paddock before this happened?
Well, not yet, because we don't have anything released from the FBI or other law enforcement agencies about him, really.
Why is that?
I don't know. I do think that after 30 days, we ought to be having more information than we have right now. For example, we know bits and pieces. We know that he arrived with 10 bags. We know that 2 bellmen helped him carry those bags up. Then we find out that those 10 bags had guns in them, 5,000 rounds of ammunition. We know that MGM claims to have a if you see something, say something policy. And you're telling us that nobody saw those guns over a 5-day period? No maid, no housekeeping, no food service ever saw any of the guns? Nobody saw him using power drills in the hallway. Nobody saw him setting up security cameras. These are all things that need to be answered. I know you've asked the same questions, and so are we.
Some of them, I hadn't even asked some of those questions. How did he get access to the service elevator if, in fact, he used it? Do you know?
We don't know. We've heard 2 separate things. One, that he asked to use it, so they let him. And 2, that since he was a VIP and part of the M-Life program, that he was allowed to have access to the service elevator. Either one, or either way, it's concerning. But more concerning is, how does a bellman haul up 10 bags with heavy, long rifles in them, 5,000 rounds of ammunition? They have this corporate watch center where they allegedly teach their people, if you see something, say something, and nobody says anything? And if they did, what happened with that information? I think that 27 high-powered rifles ought to pique somebody's interest, and that's the questions that we want answered.
Have you been able to speak to Jesus Campos?
No. Neither have you.
No. It's our impression just from watching that MGM has kept pretty tight management of the things that he says in public. Why would you think that would be the case?
Maybe they're concerned of what he's going to say. Maybe they're concerned he's not going to stick with the MGM story. But eventually he will be examined under oath by attorneys in these cases. And so it's going to be important to know the timeline from what he says and from what the other 2. Now we know that there was 2 other police officers on the floor with him prior to the shooting. Those are all questions that have to be answered, and they eventually will. Unfortunately,
I'm sorry. What is it, police officers or MGM security guards?
As of yesterday, it was that 2 we knew about Campos, but that there was 2 other police officers from the MGM that were on the floor prior to the shooting. And that's part of the ever-changing timeline.
So, but just to be clear, not Las Vegas Police Department, but MGM employees acting as security.
No, there's a report yesterday that there were 2 off-duty officers on the floor that responded to Campos prior to the shooting beginning.
Huh. This is getting more
So 2 that responded to Campos,
but if they were
prior
off-duty,
to the shooting,
did they have their radios with them? Assuming, right?
I'm guessing they were off-duty security employed by the Mandalay.
Okay.
And they responded to, or not. Maybe they were just off-duty police officers that heard it and ran. You know what I mean? Maybe they were just, they obviously had their radios. The point is that
they were
how
there.
Do you get to,
they knew what floor it was on and they were there.
How do you get to the 32nd floor in 45 seconds? That's impossible because MGM is lying. They said that the shooting started 45 seconds after Jose Campos called it in. Because, as this guy will point out, the shorter that time, the less responsible the Mandalay Bay and MGM are.
Right.
The greater the time, the police initially said 6 minutes.
Confusing by the day. Craig, thank you for this. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Dan Bongino was a former NYPD officer and a Secret Service agent. Kelly McCann, a former Marine Special Missions officer and CEO of Combatives Brand Security Consultants and Training, both join us. Kelly, first to you, you've seen a lot of shootings in your long and varied life. What jumps out at you as you look at the facts around this one?
How many years has it been since Oswald supposedly shot Kennedy? We got that figured out?
This guy.
And why isn't there a central narrative coming out? Why isn't one person speaking for the whole investigation?
Well, Tucker, based on who's controlling the evidence right now, the FBI, it seems to me to be pretty clear that the Bureau is directing this. But, you know, I liked how you opened with this, and I think you made a really salient point that deserves repeating here. We're at a time in American history where confidence in our federal law enforcement, whether it's the collection of metadata, the failure of the Clinton investigation, the politicizing of our FBI, this is not the time to keep a lid on one of the largest mass murders in American history. If you haven't...
Like, why... Like, honestly, though, what if there are puppet masters, right? At the top.
What if?
And this was their big thing, right? But I don't know what their thing was to do. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it is tied in, but
a lot of people say that the theory is that there were a lot more people that were supposed to die, that this was a little bit botched. I'm throwing that out there. I'm not saying, okay. I'm just throwing that out there.
It smells like a drug, it smells like a gun deal gone bad, that Paddock was part of the CIA, part of a drug run, part of a Fast and Furious, and it would expose the deep state in such a way as it would never recover. Ever. Okay? And so they're willing to throw Hillary Clinton under the bus and stage another false flag that's definitely tied to Islam and get everybody talking about Muslims again. Can we get them talking about Muslims again? Because while I am not a friend of the Quran, okay, the CIA uses the Quran to exploit us as conservative-minded people, because we conservative-minded people have always been the people of the party of Abraham Lincoln, the abolitionists, the Christians who throw off slavery, and so where we see Islam and we see the women being treated badly and gays thrown off of buildings, and all these things, I believe the CIA since 9/11 has been using that goodness in us against us, which is why they are
happened with the Patriot Act. Every right that we gave away, or our representatives gave away,
which is why you have like the liberals in bed with them, because like the main elite liberals, they know that this is going on, that they're using radical Islam as a scapegoat for everything.
Sure.
Like, and so then they have to paint. It's such a great mind trick. Like, if I could have thought of this, it's fantastic. First, you come out and you label radical Islam as a problem. And then you get everybody behind you. And then you begin, once those people are behind you, to call them racist and bigots. Okay? So they're still an enemy, and so you still look like the good guy. And it's total mind control to mess with our heads, because our first reaction is, oh, Islam, it's ISIS, but it's too perfect.
Right.
That truck accident, he happened to have ISIS material in his car, and we knew it right away.
Right.
And he wanted to have an ISIS flag in his room, and he's like, I love ISIS, 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 ISIS.
Right.
Ah, God, Allah Akbar. Okay, and so it's such a case that is
too open and shut.
Exactly. Whereas Stephen Paddock I think that the main stories here is Las Vegas, and they're willing again to sacrifice their queen, as we talked about before, Hillary Clinton, to cover this up. So we're going to take the queen.
It is very chess-like.
We will take the queen. We're going to take down Hillary Clinton.
Right.
We'll take her. If you're going to sacrifice her, we will take her. They're just doing it to protect their king, not as some sort of strategic move. I have goosebumps. Not as some strategic move to win the game, but to survive.
Right.
They're in survival mood, which is why they have Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all this craziness going on. The Russian collusion and the dossier and all these things. They're in survival mode.
I like it.
The elites are going down, which is why they've sacrificed Harvey Weinstein. And then they didn't know that when they started to sacrifice one person,
it's going to spread like a virus.
They didn't realize it would spread.
Left themselves. It's kind of, we can do this in chess, for those of you that know how to play. What happens is one move to cover somebody else, or even a sacrificial move, has now left open the knights and the rooks, and the whole thing is going down.
But guess who plays chess better than anyone in the world? The Russians. The Russians.
The Ruskies.
The Russians play chess better than anyone in the world. So you see the smile on Putin's face.
Right.
When he talks about this Russian collusion.
Yeah.
He knows this is a joke. He knows. He's not an innocent bystander. Okay? He's involved in craziness too. But that's what makes him giggle. Because he knows these elites. He knows their games. But I don't believe that he's a part of the satanic pedophile rings and the sex trafficking ring elites.
No.
Okay? He's actually at a speech where he calls out the pedophile rings and the sex traffickers and the perversion in the West.
Right.
And he's bringing back Christianity. He saw where this elitist communist government goes, which is all this is. It's a communist mindset, you know. Lord of the Flies type thing.
Hang on. So, because we could talk about this all day, but I want to get to one of the comments from Britt Baza said, did you hear that the British Royal Dragoon Guards were at the Las Vegas shootings helping people in the crowds? No, I did not.
Yeah, you heard some. Yeah, and the Queen we covered that. And the Queen gave him a medal. There were some guards. Yeah.
Was that very, like, in the very beginning, like
yeah.
the first day or two that it came out? Okay, because I didn't remember hearing about it more recently.
Yeah, they were honored. It was pretty cool.
Okay, hang on, let's see. Oh, also, are you going to get to, I know you are, but I'm reminding you because somebody left it. I think We Are Borg left it in the comments about the lawyer.
Yeah.
Jason Aldean's lawyer.
Jason Aldean's lawyer is dead.
At 65.
Yeah. But if you bring up that
seizure.
If you bring up that article that's being shared, the 3 other things on there are fake news. So it's real tricky. Laura Loomer shared it, and then I researched it, and the other 3 names are fake. His is real. But
dude, why?
Yeah.
At this point, there is no coincidence. It's kind of like what I've always said about the Hollywood stars that end up dead.
Yeah.
It's never a coincidence. We have, Natalie Wood, Marilyn Monroe, all of these people, one of the Coreys that end up, I don't think that it is a coincidence at all. It's every single time somebody of note. We have Prince. He was getting ready to do a lot of exposing, and dead, dude. I mean, seriously, this keeps happening over and over and over again, and they keep taking him out.
His name is Orville Allman.
Well, he's dead now, and so Aldean, I guess, is going to have to get another lawyer. But you know what?
But
I wouldn't take
from
the
what
case.
I understand, he wasn't just a lawyer for Jason Aldean, but for the music festival itself. So
he must have discovered something
right
pretty big, which is really unfortunate that he died. Please don't take this the wrong way, but it's kind of exciting that there is something out there.
Right.
There's something that is discoverable.
Right.
That he died for, and hopefully someone else will get it.
Right. So I'm going to play this here. This is a clip where Devin Nunes is saying, he says, we found out that at the same time we were making a nuclear agreement with Iran, they were harboring Al-Qaeda. So what does this have to do? When we're talking about the uranium, we're talking about nuclear powers, and we're talking about nuclear. Everything is like nuclear right now, and like Hillary Clinton wanted to take us on the brink of like World War III, like nuclear war. She Bernie Sanders says people fantasize about rape, which is absolutely outrageous. However, Hillary Clinton fantasizes about nuclear war, which is, true.
One of the things that we've already found out just in the last 24 hours is that there was a pipeline in Iran. So the Iran between Afghanistan, they go through Iran. This is where Al-Qaeda was hiding. So at the same time we were making a nuclear agreement with the Iranians, they were harboring Al-Qaeda, and now we know that they had been harboring Al-Qaeda for a long period of time. And so this is unacceptable from our intelligence agencies.
So I just wanted to bring you that clip here. When talking about Iran and Russia,
said
whatever. I don't nuclear, all clear, whatever. I'm gonna keep saying the way I want to say it. That's all I have to say about that. Anyways, Iran met with Russia today. The president of Iran met with Putin and said, you know what? With all these sanctions going on, let's just cut out the U.S. dollar and start trading with each other.
Huh.
So that's a thing. That's a thing happening right now.
Wow. So I got a text message yesterday, speaking of the U.S. dollar, from our friend Stacy, who is one of our moderators, Rosa Sharon. And she wanted to know when I don't know what you would call it, the poop hits the fan, zombie apocalypse, whatever. When it all goes down, she's got people that are telling her we'll be trading with rice and beans. It'll all be the barter system. And she wanted to know, please tell me that's not I believe in gold and silver. Is it really just going to come down to rice and beans? Or are these people as crazy as I think that they are? And so I sent her back and I said, listen, you've hit me in my wheelhouse. This is my specialty. Obviously, Leah has a lot of specialties. If you want to talk currencies, you can come to me. Here's the thing, guys, and I want to, considering the fact that tomorrow is November 4th, and really we never know if the zombie apocalypse, whatever you want to call it, will come down. We do know that the dollar is going to collapse. I believe that if and when that does happen, or more or less when, because of the way that our society functions, unfortunately, we may just shift to another digital currency, such as Bitcoin or what have you. Obviously, it would be decentralized. But I said, listen, if the grid falls, and which we're practicing for EMP drills tomorrow, if the grid falls and the obviously then the dollar collapses and the whole 9 yards, what is going to happen is it's going to go to what is referred to as junk silver. If you're not familiar with that term, it's the type of silver when you're a little kid and your granddad says, come here, and he gets out his pocketbook and shows you how to find the coins that are actually silver. We buy ours from SD Bullion. They're a Christian-based company, and they send it to you in like a sack. It's called junk because when it's in somebody's pocket, it gets worn off. So you don't really know how much you're getting per coin. But anyway, the reason why it'll go to junk silver is because it's small enough to trade, and the American people and worldwide, we all trust gold and silver. We just do inherently, but even more so, we trust coins, and even more than that, we trust, for some whatever reason, our country's minted currencies. Yeah. And so that's why it will go to silver coinage. So whenever I tell people to stock up, if you can, if you have a little bit of extra money in the savings, get it out of the dollar and transfer it into, it doesn't have to be junk silver. You can put it into silver dollars or what have you. But I think silver is the way to go. Gold is a little bit high right now, and gold's not going to be easily transactionable. Right. I don't know if that's a word, but that's the word that I'm using. So junk silver is where it's at. So I wanted to throw that out there. I was thinking about it when I texted her. I was like, I don't really talk to the viewers about practical application for a monetary system if and when the grid falls and the dollar collapses.
The great thing about junk silver is
it'll go down. It'll boil down to that.
The price that it's at right now,
it's viable.
It's not only is it viable, but it's also sellable.
Yes.
So it's not, I mean, gold is astronomical.
Right.
But you know that, let's say you have to, something happens, you can sell it back.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. If you need to transfer it back into cash to buy a car or whatever you need to do, it is fairly simple to do that. So I felt like while you were gone, that was a good time to throw that in there for you guys that are asking the same questions that even our dearest friend Stacy is asking.
Right. Okay. So here is Donald Trump talking about the DOJ should be investigating the Democrats.
They should be looking at the Democrats. They should be looking at Podesta and all of that dishonesty. They should be looking at a lot of things. And a lot of people are disappointed in the Justice Department, including me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
A lot of people are disappointed in the Justice Department, including me. That's Donald Trump there.
And he was tweeting about it too, wasn't he?
Right. Okay. A couple things I wanted to bring to you. Something that is in the news like every day. Sweden is becoming a war zone after 12th bombing in 24 days.
And I watched a video the other day, and I wish I could, I don't know, I think Worth a Look sent it to me, of this Swedish guy, and he's like, you're hearing about it, but really nobody is talking about it. And he's like, we're having bombing after bombing after bombing happening, and it's not being covered, and it needs to stop. So this was just Swede.
In your Swedish accent?
The Swedish accent.
In the last 24 days, Sweden has seen 12 bombing attacks.
Wow.
We are talking about a country with a population of just 1 million more inhabitants in New York City. What? This is my Swedish accent.
All right, do it.
I am Swedish.
Yeah.
I am literally Swedish, so if anyone's going to have a Swedish accent, don't you think it's going to be you and me? No. Earlier this month, the attacks have included an attack on a police station in Malmö, on a multi-family apartment complex, and a car bomb. The most recent attack that occurred on the 2nd November was on a nightclub restaurant in Malmö. Don't go to Malmö. The Babel nightclub's front entrance was destroyed by the bomb. There were no injuries in this attack. Not good bombers.
Wow.
According to the Swedish news, the SVT, the same night the club was attacked last year as well, when someone left an explosive device just in front of the establishment. The police have yet to determine what the source of the explosion was. No suspects have been apprehended in the attack. Despite the astonishing uptick in the bombing instances, the Swedish media treats the evidence as isolated, rather than acknowledging the bigger picture.
Wow.
Sweden is under attack, and it's just a matter of time before these attacks lead to severe consequences and casualties. Now, truly, if there were these many attacks in New York City, everybody would be up in arms.
Right.
But nobody seems to really care about
Sweden kind of opened the door for it. And I'm not saying that that's okay. It still needs to be addressed, and it is one of those things. But they have allowed these people with open arms into their country.
I wanted to bring up this from June real quick. When Jason Chaffetz slammed Attorney General Jeff Sessions as worse than what I saw with Loretta Lynch. He's leaving like in a week or two. He's fed up. I don't know what he's going to. He said he's going to be a Fox News correspondent or whatever. He says the reality is, sadly, I don't see much difference between the Trump administration and the Obama administration. I thought there would be these floodgates would just open all these documents. They just want documents. They just want transparency. But the Department of Justice is where all the corruption has been.
Right.
Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, all these people, tarmac meetings. These are swamp creatures. Go ahead, Mom.
And we can't stress enough that the reason all this stuff is going on, whether you're in Sweden, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in Russia, or whether you're in America, all this comes from fake printed money. And I made a comment. We lean on the Word of God, and we trust God. God says use gold and silver. He does not say use paper backed by gold and silver, because bankers cheated. America cheated the rest of the world by printing more paper than they had gold. You've got to see the gold, you've got to see the silver, and you got to put a balancing scale in front of you, make sure it weighs right. Because Canada's just made fake golden bars. You have to have the scale in front of you, you have to weigh it, and there's instruments you can tell how much gold's in something now too. And also, Michelle, would you put in a link in there for SD Bullion?
SD Bullion, in the description.
SD Bullion, we're not even getting paid to advertise.
No, but we should.
Oh, that's great. Look at my memories.
What?
Michelle holding a snake at the Creation Museum.
It's great to show everybody your Facebook.
Isn't that fantastic? There she is. I would never do that. Why would you do that?
Because it was awesome.
That's just plain stupid.
That was at the Creation Museum.
That was stupid. Stupid. Don't do that again.
All right, so here's the Swedish guy. I wanted Leah bring it up just quickly. It's a longer video, but I'll put the link.
Listen here. What on earth is going on in Sweden? This is
Look at the background
crazy.
There. I bet he's like on location.
There's been 7 bombs in just 12 days.
Sounds just like me.
I mean, what on earth is going on? I've never seen anything like this. It's just getting worse in Sweden.
Worse!
I mean, this is getting completely crazy. So let me go through what's happened. So, on the 10th of October, there was a guy who opened a door to his car, and boom! His car exploded. So there was a bomb in his car.
Boom.
The guy was injured. There's pictures of him with his clothes all trashed up into pieces, but he managed to survive. Then a few days later, on the 13th of October, just 3 days later, a bomb went off outside a villa in the city of Ramlösa. The bomb damaged the house. It woke the whole neighborhood. Neighborhood up.
It woke them. Yes.
Completely insane. There was people inside the house. Luckily, no one was injured. Then a few days later, on the 15th of October, a car was blown up in the city of Malmö. So this is now just 3 bombings in 5 days.
3.
Then, on the 18th of October, at night, in the morning of the 18th October, a police station was bombed in the city of Helsingborg.
Yeah,
a police station.
Let us see it.
A police station was bombed. It was a massive bomb. Experts believe it was between 5 and 10 kilos. And the bomb destroyed the whole police entrance. I mean, you can see pictures of it here. Absolutely crazy. I mean, and the shockwave from the
Why
bomb
are they doing it?
was so powerful that it blew out 30 to 40 windows on the building opposite the police station. Which happened to be a doctor's center.
You don't have to play the whole thing, but I wanted to give... I put the link to this video and SD Bouillon into the description.
You can follow him on Twitter, Peter Sweden. I follow him on Twitter. Okay, not to just leave the Swedish bombing thing to the side, like, oh, bombs in Sweden, whatever. I mean, it's a rape, it's a bomb, it's another rape. There's actually, to me,
you can't
the bombs are bad, but obviously nobody's died. But like, seriously, rapes are happening every day, and we showed you that where they don't investigate. They get these migrants, they get away with it all, and their government is complicit.
Yeah, I agree.
Here, I wanted to show you this, a couple more tweets that I didn't show you last night because we were actually, I believe, I don't think I showed you. I think we were going live when these came out. Donald Trump challenges Jeff Sessions. Where is our Justice Department on Hillary Clinton? And maybe I did, but I'm going to read them again. A lot of people are disappointed in the Justice Department, including me, Trump told reporters at the White House on Friday morning. Nope, so I didn't. Before leaving for his trip for Asia. This is the real collusion and dishonesty, he wrote on Twitter Thursday night. Major violation of campaign finance laws and money laundering. Where is our Justice Department? Trump said he thought Clinton's deleted emails, uranium, Podesta, the server, ++, all deserved closer scrutiny. People are angry, he continued. I think I did. I don't know. I get it mixed up, sorry. At some point, the Justice Department and the FBI must do what is right and proper. The American public deserves it. He says this. The saddest thing is because I'm the President of the United States, I'm not supposed to be involved in the Justice Department. I'm not supposed to be involved in the FBI. I'm not supposed to be doing the kind of things that I would love to be doing. I'm very frustrated about it. I look at what's going on in the Justice Department. Well, why aren't they going after Hillary Clinton about her emails and dossier? It's very discouraging to me. To be honest, I'm very unhappy about it. Now, Morning Joe talked about this, and they're just like, constitutional crisis, anyone? Separation of powers? Oh my gosh, Trump. What are you even saying? That you'd like to do something about this? That you're not part of the DOJ for a reason. It's in the Constitution. Listen, as President of the United States, you picked a dude who had to recuse himself, and you can be darn upset about it if you want to be. I would be too. We're all upset, Joe. We're all upset. Take your coffee, take a walk. Because we're all upset. We all are thinking exactly what Trump is thinking. There's no constitutional crisis. He's just idiot. So there's a couple more.
Hang on, let me get to.
Hang on. Every time I go to move on, Michelle says, "Hang on," but I do want to hear your comments.
Because it seems like you're like it feels like a gap that I can fill while you pull up whatever you're going to pull up. See, this is how I'm playing this thing.
Oh,
you gotta get it. Is it up right now?
Well, I don't know.
See?
Germany, even playgrounds become Islamic in Merkelland.
Huh? What? Are you serious? Pull that up bigger.
In Germany, even playgrounds become Islamic in the Merkel land.
Wow. Dang.
A video of an Islam-inspired playground emerged on YouTube yesterday. The playground is situated in Berlin's Neukölln district, a mostly migrant suburb. The locals say they are happy about it and think it can help with integration.
Oh, is there something playing? I might have an ad. I pulled up the SD Bouillon. Sorry, guys.
So, but you know what? If it had a cross on it in a church, wouldn't they demand it tear it down for separation of church and state?
Tear down the cross.
Sorry, I don't speak German. But they said to look at the thumbs down on the video. 36 thumbs up and 408 thumbs down. 19.
Wow. There you go.
Welcome to Saudi Germania.
Oh.
What can you do except laugh at the spineless Germans?
It's just sad.
In Berlin, of course, unbelievable. Great. Can we have a Satanism-inspired one as well?
No, here's the question. Is it a public park?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a public park.
No, what I mean is it publicly owned? You know, around here, a lot of the parks are local, our city, whatever. Or is it like a park that a mosque has put up?
Oh, no. This is the park that I'm pretty sure.
Because I'm just like, seriously? Public funds, taxes? I mean, people would be, like you said, up in arms if it was a cross in a church.
Go ahead and get to some of the comments now.
Okay, so no, I just wanted to backtrack because Worth a Look left a really good question. He said, when the dollar falls, will that not be a push for a one world currency? And the answer is, I think the answer is no. When the dollar collapses, I think it's actually going to push for more independent. I mean, the euro is the euro, but it's going to push for more independent. As a matter of fact, the dollar is already falling.
There's a push right now for independent
currencies. And there's a push for kind of a petro yen and things like that. So it's actually a good thing.
Why China and Russia are working together in Iran? It's beyond me.
Otto says, "Don't call it junk silver, call it constitutional silver." So I liked that.
That's good.
We Are Borg says that they are Swedish and you sound like a Korean Swede. Well done. Hey, you know, I think, you know, there you go.
A Korean Swede.
Okay, so
I don't speak Korean. I don't think it's quite the same.
We are gonna. I don't know if we're gonna talk about tomorrow today, but tomorrow is the big EMP test. Buzzy says, check your TVs for this government emergency EMP drills, 12 p.m. through 12 a.m. Remember, this is only a test. Okay, tomorrow we'll put out a video on Cypher News about what's gonna happen on the 4th. You guys can go and watch that. But there is tomorrow.
The reason it's junk silver is 75% silver.
Right.
Constitutional silver is 99% silver.
Right, exactly.
And so they were cheating then too. And so we got to get back to be honest, because it says if you mess with the silver or gold, you should suffer death. That's how important it is.
It actually is punishable by death in our
if you don't have 99% silver and gold, you shall die. But of course we can use this silver and use this while we get through.
Isn't it funny the Constitution doesn't talk about the death penalty for anything but like debasing the monetary system?
But this is a move of God. I mean, I can feel the power of God even in our room right now, that we're trusting God. When you go back to the Bible, it says 99% gold and silver. And everybody around the world is doing that. So even though they try Bitcoin, it's not going to work.
Right.
No.
And then people had their lands and their family farms stolen from them in the 1900s. And those people need to get their land back and their farms back. And you're going to find it so much easier.
Country song backwards.
What's constitutional
Get your dog back, your wife back,
your
house back,
by owning land,
farm
and they
back.
can always have food. Again, we lean on the Bible. The Bible says if you plant your wheat, you'll never go hungry. So each man has to plant wheat so his family never goes hungry. Pray to our Father for daily bread. We're praying for land. We're praying to dig our own wells for water so people are independent. You don't need all these taxes. You don't need taxes. There's no reason for them. People can be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and then these criminals who are doing this pedophile and all this ugly, nasty, satanic stuff will be too busy working on their land and
exactly.
farming.
They
the Bible also
need a
says
job.
If you don't work your land, you don't eat. And so if they're not if they're so lazy, they'll starve to death as long as we don't feed them.
She just walked away. They will starve to death as long as we don't feed them.
I know some
and
people who work really hard to not ever have to work.
It's true. They almost work harder to not have to work than it would be to actually work. Now, Beth says, listen to this, please. Sessions is lying low right now for a reason. Rosenstein is doing himself in. Sessions will be activated later, and you will be so proud. That is definitely a view. We would hope for that to be true.
Scenario,
best case scenario
dream
from
world,
Beth.
fantasy world, yes.
We're hoping that you're right.
Okay, so while Michelle's looking up a couple more things, this is huge. This is if there was only 2 stories I brought to you tonight, it would be the uranium did leave the United States and that Twitter buried hashtag DNC leak and hashtag protest to emails. Now, maybe you guys don't do Twitter. I didn't until this election. And I realized that if I was going to be on the front lines and hear first what was going down, what was shaken, it was going to be on Twitter because WikiLeaks was putting these things out on Twitter. And then like Facebook was like this like time lag, right?
Like what we have here.
And the articles in like even Breitbart was even a bigger time lag. So I wanted to be there. So I joined Twitter, and I'm still learning how to tweet and twitty, and hashtag things.
And when you see Michelle not know things, it's because I am not on Twitter and I haven't gotten it from either Justin Hughes.
You have to be of a special mind to do Twitter. I am not a Twitter warrior. I do not hashtag things very much. I just retweet.
Cecilia Gal earlier had said something. How do you girls, do all this? You stay on top of all the news. It is very difficult to stay on top of every little thing that comes out because so much. It's kind of like news throw up at the moment. There's just so much pouring in, and then new things are happening. Okay, but you know what I mean. It's just constantly avalanche.
Yeah.
Maybe that's better.
Yeah, it feels the same as it did last year at this time. During October surprise.
Can you believe it's been a year?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting actually.
All right, so let's get to it.
Well, I wanted to answer a question a little bit. We used to watch television.
Not actually television,
like a movie or something. Yeah. But we don't anymore. So the time that people would watch a movie or something, and then we do.
Actually, I think we're filming during that time. But when we're at dog walks, you're way more
whatever.
It doesn't have to be really specific about it. I'm sorry. Just saying. In the evenings, the actual time.
The time, right? I don't think we'd ever watch movies at 6 o'clock.
You know what I'm saying? It's like 2-hour chunk. Right?
Chunk.
The movie's like a 2-hour chunk. And this is like a 2-hour chunk. We go live. Instead of watching the movies, we're making the movies.
And we'll play videos while we're walking around or doing stuff like that. So, and I can play Alex Jones.
Dude, we will be outside chunking pumpkins. And when Leah's got something going, some sort of, if I'm responding to emails to you guys or comments or whatever, anytime I have to be doing something, we try to have something playing.
We've kind of immersed our lives into this and we're on the front lines because I feel like
I like birds chirping, man.
I feel like we're winning.
Quiet.
Yeah, we go outside a lot. We're outside a lot, and that's why you see us come in muddy and dirty and craziness. But we want to save our planet. We want to save our country, and so I see that this is winning. And my point is,
here it comes,
is that Twitter buried the DNC leak and the Podesta email tweets in the last 2 months of the campaign.
Yeah,
Twitter buried significant portions of tweets related to the hacked emails from the Democratic National Committee and Clinton campaign chair John Podesta. In the last 2 months of the 2016 presidential election, Twitter systems hid 48% of the tweets using the DNC leaks hashtag, and 25% of the tweets using the Podesta emails hashtag. Twitter General Counsel Sean Egan said in his written testimony before the Senate, approximately 1/4 of the Podesta email tweets received internal tags from our automation detection systems and hid them from searches.
Wow!
So how Twitter works is if I want to find something, I'll hashtag something like Manhattan attack, and immediately I'll find it. So people wouldn't be able to find these particular tweets. From who? We don't know.
Could be
he added
anybody.
that our system detected and hid just under half of the tweets related to variants of another notable hashtag, DNC leak, which concerned the disclosure of leaked emails. Just 2% of the tweets using DNC leak hashtag came from potentially linked Russian accounts. He explained that Twitter hid the tweets as part of our general efforts at the time to fight automation and spam. Anti-secrecy organizations, WikiLeaks, published the DNC and Podesta emails. This is huge, and so we have to keep calling this out. The censorship for the Democrats, for Clinton, for this elitist crazy, they own everything. They own everything, and here we are, these little tiny people just rising up an army. We're going to take them down, but this is like...
But is it on mainstream media? Are they going to cover this? No. This is, it's huge. It is a bombshell revelation. The fact that Twitter itself is censoring. But Twitter, we know, they're all intertwined with money. They pay the bills. They scratch your back, or you scratch my back, I scratch your back. And so the mainstream media is not going to touch this.
Right.
Maybe Fox News will, but like CNN and MSN.
So Dennis Prager from Prager
MSNBC
University was on Tucker Carlson last night talking about this and how his videos are being... see, I touch things and things happen.
Sorry.
No, I did.
You're like Jesus.
His videos are being censored. They said they're not appropriate for children, but like he has Harvard people on there. He has great minds on there, and it's just crazy. Now, I want to show you this. I think there's 2 or 3 more things I want to show you, and then we're going to head out of here. But I've been hearing about this. I didn't think much of it. Like, it's like another stupid thing. But I guess there's a political race happening in, where is it? I don't know, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. I don't know. He'll tell you in a second. But anyways, I know that this ad is playing his name is against his opponent. The Republican's last name is Gillespie. And he has been very pro-Trump-like in his rhetoric on immigration. And so the opposition campaign put together an ad where a redneck in a truck with a Gillespie sticker tries to chase down and kill these immigrants. Well, they had to take down this ad finally after the outrage, but I have seen people defend it.
Terror attack to a fake one. Behold, the worst ad of all time. Aimed at Virginia's Republican candidate for governor, Ed Gillespie. Painting his supporters as homicidal predators bent on killing kids. It's called American Nightmare.
It had the Gillespie's name, if it's too fuzzy for you guys to see.
With a "Don't Tread on Me" plate.
Is this what Donald Trump and Ed Gillespie mean by the American dream? Latino Victory Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
Well, that's despicable. But that's not even the worst part. When the Latino Victory Fund saw that their ad might cost the Dems the election, they pulled the ad, citing recent events. Those were their words. So they used the terror attack as an escape hatch for their heinous smear. It's classy. Fact is, they pulled the ad not out of sensitivity, but because they looked idiotic for choosing the wrong villain in their advertisement, i.e. half of America. They must have been bummed that it wasn't a deplorable in a truck mowing down innocents in New York, but a jihadist. The commercial turned out to be a child's dream at the end, but it was really a left-winger's fantasy, which viewed Republicans as evil racists. But the left has pushed this narrative for decades. It's not that you're wrong, but that you're evil, which allows them to destroy you. It's the inevitable conclusion of identity politics. You divide, then you ruin. It's grotesque, but it's what they do best. So keep at it, Dems. I think you just elected Gillespie, and perhaps Trump in 2020, then Pence, then Nikki, then Rubio, then Ivanka, then Donald Jr., then Eric. In 2052, it'll be my turn.
Yay, Craig.
Okay, please don't let it progress like that. Kansas for president.
Yes, thumbs to everyone.
Here's the thing. I was thinking, when I was watching the truck, before I knew they were going to make that correlation, I was thinking the exact same thing. Actually, the villain behind the truck, a face, is a jihadist. It's not actually the white guy, with the "Don't Tread on Me."
What if they had made, like, a reversal of that?
Yeah, if it had been the jihadist actually chasing and mowing down, whatever. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so short little story here I want to bring up to you. In light of Martin Luther
and the China thing.
We're gonna end with that.
Okay, I thought this was what we were ending with.
In light of Martin Luther, I just kind of wanted to show you the state of the church and how Martin Luther wasn't this crazy dude. Okay, to speak out against the Pope at the time. Priests and ladies slammed U.S. bishops' conference for sacking theologian critical of the Pope. So the U.S. bishops have received a scathing response for forcing out a renowned theologian as a consultant to their doctrine committee because the theologian wrote a letter to Pope Francis saying the papacy was marked by chronic confusion. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops asked Father Thomas Weinandy to resign from his position as consultant to the bishops after his letter was made public Wednesday. Father Weinandy had written to the Pope in July with a number of concerns about the Francis's pontificate, including the Pope's seemingly intentional lack of clarity, fosters within the faithful a growing unease. He released the letter after receiving no response for 3 months and after having confirmed that it had in fact reached Francis. When Andy wrote in his letter that under Francis's pontificate, many fear that if they speak their mind, they will be marginalized or worse.
Is it just pontificate?
Whatever. English scholar and blogger Father John Hunwicky minced no words in his reaction. This cheap and vulgar ritual humiliation exemplifies the extent to which Pope Francis is presiding over a bully boy church in which midget bishops and mini cardinals compete to defeat each other in fancy stakes. Just as Tom Wanandy has in effect just said, the fact that the American Episcopal Conference within minutes sacked him from being able to consult with their doctrine committee is crazy. And so while I'm not big on Catholic doctrine, I'm not here to debate it, but I'm here to point out that any church is going to have people who say, hey, take a look at this. Maybe you're not seeing things right.
Well, because the Catholic Church is so massive,
right,
we have within our circle of friends Catholics that pray to Mary and Catholics that do not. So it's not just the Catholic Church per se. There's going to be a lot of divisions within it. However, there are some just standard biblical doctrines that go without saying that this Pope, who I believe is, like somebody had just said, I don't know if it was Will, a Jesuit or whatever, definitely a globalist, is pushing these completely anti-biblical stances. And we get a lot of messages from Catholics who are fighting the current Pope.
Right.
We love our faith. That's what they're saying. We want to be Catholic. This Pope does not represent us.
Right. Right. Some people call him the Black Pope or whatever. So I want to bring that out to you to show you that, you know, Martin Luther was just speaking out. I think there's actually definitely a wider acceptance today for you to be able to speak out. They don't burn you or kill you now,
right?
Like they tried to do to Martin Luther. But I wanted to point that out. Now we're going to end with this. Who sent this to you? Horatio sent this. Do you want to just tell them about it? I think it comes across better than
you're
just
right. Just pull up the
it.
picture. I mean, just for kind of a little bit of a visual. China is going to. They're starting out. They're going to implement it right now, kind of with a trial run, and they've got their feelers out.
This is a picture of numbers of numbers on
like that says 031, 810. It's kind of like a credit score, right? And in
fact, it uses your credit score,
right? But they're rolling this thing out. They've got a couple of big companies in China that they're going
testing it. Right now it's voluntary.
And they're coming up with different apps to see who can come up with the best. But the idea is they're going to rate citizens.
You're just you as a whole person. And you'll have a number that is well known to everyone.
Yeah.
But it's going live in 2020.
It is going live in 2020.
This is scary.
They're going to they want to rate whether you play video games or not. That makes you irresponsible. You'll get a certain number if you actually have a child, because somehow having a child means that you'll be a more responsible person. Here in the United States, that's not true. A lot of people having babies out of wedlock proves they're irresponsible.
And one of the things they would use to decide whether you're a child is whether you bought diapers. So you buy diapers.
Right. So you must have a child. So then you're going to have people that want an up in their score. They're going to go and start buying diapers. Right? They're going to go to your social media pages and they're going to look at your friends and their scores, and they're going to come up with, you know, who you associate with. It's going to lower or raise your score.
Well, you'll start with something seemingly, your credit score.
Right.
Do you pay your bills on time?
Right.
Okay. And then it goes to crazier things after that. And finally, it goes down to the personal social thing, where you're talking about social media. And if you post positive things about the government, your score will go up.
Right.
This is...
It is scary, scary stuff. So when Horatio had shared it, he was like, forget Halloween, because this ought to scare the blank out of you, because if it's going to be implemented in China, you can see very easily.
You can see, like, when you look at this. So, like, when you put the names on people, you'll see their number.
Right.
You'll see their numbers and the colors corresponding with each category.
And what it's going to... And Leah... Whoa. Okay. When Leah was researching this, after I was reading this article out loud to her today, she just blurts out, she's like, it's a class system. And I was like, bingo. Caste, excuse me. It's a caste system.
An Indian caste system.
Because we already see this. We see the class system, already portrayed, but the caste system literally keeps people bound up. There's not really much that you can do to get out of it. And so it really is super scary. But there was one part on here that I did want to...
So there'd be scores that range between 350 and 950. A very complex algorithm based by some person. This is not science, you guys.
People with low ratings will have slower internet speeds, restricted access to restaurants, and the removal of their right to travel. That's and that's the author of Who Can You Trust?
Speeds?
Yeah, I mean it's the whole thing is just completely scary. So what I'm saying is, if it's something that they're going to implement in China, you can see that this is something that they could easily, just like Orwell's 1984, implement.
There's
across the world.
There's 5 factors.
That's what I wanted you to get to.
Taken into account. The first is your credit history. Mm-hmm. For example, do you pay your electricity or your phone bills on time? And if you're, obviously if you're off the grid, you wouldn't even get a number like now, Next is fulfillment capacity, which it defines in its guidelines as a user's ability to fulfill her contract obligations. I'm not exactly sure what that means because that's electricity,
like paying bills and things like that.
But see, that's
time.
Already talking about the electricity and phone bill on time.
So then that's something.
So
different.
What's the contract?
Good question.
Obligations. Not getting divorced, maybe. The third factor is personal characteristics, verifying personal information such as someone's mobile phone number and address. The fourth category, behavior and preference, is where it gets interesting. Someone who plays video games for 10 hours a day would be considered an idle person. And we talked about the babies. And the fifth category is interpersonal relationships.
Right.
What does their choice of online friends and their interactions say about the person being assessed? Now, the question is that not everyone in China has internet access. And they're not all online. Some of them are rural. Some of them are farmers. Will they even have a number? Can they even operate?
It reminds me of a credit score. One of our dearest friends in West Virginia had wanted to get a loan for his house, to build a house. And he had never had a credit card. Well, not that he'd never had a credit card, but he didn't have a credit card. He'd paid cash for his truck. To me, that says responsible citizen. I don't have to have a credit card. I can pay cash for my truck, but now I would like to use my truck as collateral and get a loan and then this, that, and the other. But because you don't have a credit score, because you've not bought into the system, okay, you can't actually reap the benefits of it. And so many times we see that over and over again. So unless you're actually in the system, a lot of us do not believe in using credit cards. But you almost, they'll tell you when you get a house, if you're going to go to buy a house and get a loan and you don't have, your loan officer will tell you need to get a credit card and start using it, and then you can pay it off because you have to have this credit score. And so what you're going to come up with is this exact same thing. If you're not in that system, you're going to automatically by default have a low number.
Right.
And so it is
almost
a
won't
caste
exist.
system.
You won't be able to leave the country. You won't be able to have internet. Seriously,
this is scary stuff, guys.
It's pretty intense. And they're starting it in China under communist rule. And this is dictatorship. This is as bad as it gets.
This is as bad as it gets. All right, so I think that wraps us up for today. But before I do so, yesterday when we went live, I had every intention of wishing a happy birthday to Sean, who had sent us the chocolates, and then we watched the video last Sunday. Tracy, his wife, has sent me the pictures. As a follow-up, we'll cover those on Sunday because they're absolutely beautiful for those of you that watch our Sunday show with us. So happy birthday, Sean. I hope that you had a wonderful, wonderful birthday yesterday.
And Michelle's birthday is November 9th.
And Kelly, her birthday was yesterday as well, and I am understanding that Sheldon, when we started out the show, had said that they have joined us and that today is their birthday. So happy birthday all around to Sean, Kelly, and Sheldon. And I feel like somebody else had said in the comments recently that their birthday was on the 2nd or 3rd. Whoever you are, happy birthday. We love you. I saw it and I meant to make a mental note and I did not.
So I want to give a couple more of these crazy things with this while we're on this story. If your score reaches to a certain level, you'll get privileges. So if it reaches a 600, you can take out a just spend loan of up to 5,000 won, about $565, to use to shop online.
Wow.
As long as it's on an Alibaba site. Reach 650 points, they may rent a car without leaving a deposit. They are also entitled to faster check-in at hotels and the use of VIP check-in at Beijing Capital International Airport. Those with more than 666 points, it's probably not a good number for you to choose. Satan commies.
That is no, because Will is a numerologist, and he thus said the fact that that's the number that they chose seems very telling, don't you think?
Yeah, it does. Can get a cash loan of up to 50,000 won or $5,700, obviously from Ant Financial Services. Get above 700 and they can apply for Singapore travel without supporting documents such as an employment letter. And at 750, they can get fast-tracked application to a coveted pan-European Schengen visa. I think the best way to understand the system is as a sort of bastard love child of a loyalty scheme. Higher scores have already become a status symbol, with almost 100,000 people bragging about their scores on Weibo, the Chinese equivalent of Twitter. Within months of the launch, a citizen's score can even affect their odds of getting a date, a marriage partner, because the higher their Sesame rating, the more prominent their dating profile is on Bahi.
Wow.
Sesame Credit already offers tips to help individuals improve their ranking, including warning about the downsides of friending someone who has a low score.
Wow.
Can even be friends.
So you'd be like ousted. You'd be put in the corner of like low score.
This is exactly what communism is all about. This is Marxism. This is the technological
stuff.
Marxism, because the idea of eugenics is to shame. They literally, public school was set up. Part of it was to shame children so that they wouldn't find a suitable partner, so that the lower breeds wouldn't breed. The lower people wouldn't breed. Well, the public school system didn't actually work out that well,
right?
For that reason. But still, this is creating like horrid. This might lead to the rise of score advisors who will share tips on how to gain points. See, and communism is all about the black market too. I'm sure that you'll find a way to buy them. I mean, you can buy anything in China.
What was this?
Everything is a knockoff.
That was, well, I can't remember what it was, but you only had so much life expectancy. Like with a number that you wore.
Yes.
It came out within the past like 5 or 6 years.
And so they would go and try to buy each other's numbers.
Yeah, and there was like this kid who was trying to get, like every day you had to, you use the number to buy bread or something like that. It's not self-fulfilling. It's the fact that it's kind of like a planned city.
Right.
The fact that they put it in the movies first to desensitize you, to throw you off. It's just imaginary, it'll never happen, and then here they roll it out.
Reputation consultants willing to offer expert advice on how to strategically improve a ranking to get off the trust-breaking blacklist. Indeed, Sesame Credit is basically a big data gamified version of the Communist Party's surveillance methods, the disquieting dangang. The regime kept a dossier on every individual that tracked political and personal transgressions. The citizens dangang followed them for life, from schools to jobs. People started reporting on their friends and even family members. I mean, communism really turns people on each other. I mean, think about it. We as Christians, we're taught to love the poor and the weak and the meek and the broken and the disabled and things like that. So you would purposefully friend somebody downtrodden. You purposefully friend a drug addict to try to help them.
So the opposite of that, the devil always does the opposite of what God would do, and that's why we have these systems.
Low.
Now everybody is telling me that it was Justin Timberlake. I have a hard time believing that I ever saw a movie with him in it, but I guess
probably.
you're right.
I think you might be right.
It was called Out of Time, so thank you guys for that.
The same thing will happen with digital dossiers. People will have an incentive to say to their friends and family, don't post that. I don't want you to hurt your score, but I don't want you to hurt mine either.
Mm-hmm.
We're also bound to see the birth of reputation, obviously black markets, in the way that Facebook likes and Twitter followers can actually be bought.
Yes.
You can buy Twitter followers, which is so stupid. And individuals will pay to manipulate their score. What about keeping the system secure? You just can't. So... Patriot Gallery.
Well, in Las Vegas, they have been proven that they had signs already made up ahead of time that said Vegas strong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about city-states. And see, if you live on the land, you have all this confidence. You always have bread because you throw some grain down, and in the summertime it comes up, you always have bread, more than you need, and then you can give it to other people. But they want to take you off the land and how easy it is to provide for yourself. Put everybody in city-states. And then that's what Vegas strong is. And then as soon as this thing happened in New York, they came out with all these signs saying, New York strong. Even President Trump said, New York strong. It's about city-states taking people off the land. That's what we got to fight to get our land back and our grandparents' land back.
Yep.
That was stolen in the 1900s, early 1900s. Because 65% of the people were on their farms. And it was so easy. And you go to gold and silver, a shovel's going to cost a silver dollar. You know, all this stuff, a pair of jeans will cost a silver dollar. You need less when you have silver and gold. And when you have land, you need less because you provide. I was thinking all these jihads. If they have to farm, they won't have time to be doing their jihadi stuff.
Right.
And they won't abuse their wife and children because they're going to need their wife and children to be smart and intelligent to help them.
Yes, very good. So from what I understand, the White House went into lockdown earlier today. I hope an ad does not play while I have this pulled up. A lockdown at the White House was lifted Friday morning after Secret Service hauled one person into custody for suspicious activity. The person was busted along the north fence line around 9:30 a.m. Reporters were told to leave the north lawn. CBS News reported President Trump was en route to Hawaii before heading out on his first trip to Asia as commander-in-chief. So Justin had shared that with me earlier, and so I wanted to get to that. Also, there is an update on Weinstein. I guess they are saying that the FBI finds that the rape allegation is credible, and they are seeking a warrant. So we'll see what happens there.
Going down. Every day I wake up and I'm so excited to read horrible news, but it's really exciting. Like, I read that today, where Weinstein is going to be arrested. Very exciting. Kevin Spacey has new accusers out, and Netflix House of Cards literally has a whole system set up where you can call in unanimously.
Unanimously? Everyone all together, please! Unanimously!
Kevin Spacey is a molester.
Okay, I think she means anonymously.
Anonymously.
Or unanimously,
they have like
joined together.
Therapists set up and everything. And there's been 6 more dudes step up because I guess he went around like with all these young dudes. No young dude was safe around Kevin Spacey. So while that's awful, but it makes me smile that it's coming out now. It's all coming out.
It's all coming out. All right, so it is Friday. We haven't done a song in a couple of days. Well, aside from the joking. Oh, what a feeling when we're dancing on the ceiling. Yeah, I had to look it up afterwards to get the tune in my head. So there you go. What do we have a song? Just think of something. Come on, you got this.
This is the first one that came to my mind.
All right.
I don't know. I don't even know if we know all of it. Lyrics. We can hear ourselves in the background.
Boy.
Remember this one?
I do remember that one.
For some reason, it's just simple.
It is very simple.
Whose report will you believe? We shall believe the report of the Lord. I said, whose report will you believe? We shall believe the report of the Lord. His report says I am healed. His report says I am filled. His report says I am free. His report says victory.
Yeah!
Whose report will you believe? We shall believe the report of the Lord. I said now, whose report will you believe? We shall believe the report of the Lord.
I was going to let you take it.
I was going to let you take it.
His report says I am healed. His report says I am filled. His report says I am free. His report says victory. There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a good one.
That just came to my head.
That's a good song. I can go around the house singing that sometimes. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who's reporting, what's on the news, what's on Twitter, who's on first, what's on second. Seriously, it does not matter. We only believe the report of the Lord. And so here at Resistance Chicks, we haven't said this in a while, but we don't lean to the right. We don't lean to the left, but we lean on the Word of God, and we filter our worldview through that. Sometimes we have some commenters that'll say, we'll post a Resistance Chicks blog on Facebook page, and somebody the other day says, what is this? This is so stupid. I'm done with you guys. Listen, if you don't want the God element, then we're not the channel for you, because that is exactly how we filter everything that we do. And that's the victorious report.
Other regular people out there. You know what? They don't have a lot of hope. And guess what? Other people have an inside track with sources.
Yeah.
we have an inside track
with the man upstairs. That's right. I like that
because we spend time
coin that.
and we want to know. Did I lose a battery?
You are plugged in. I don't know.
I lost my pewter.
Well, you know what? We don't need it.
Okay, we're done.
No, finish your sentence.
Well, anyways, we're back. Do you like the Grand Canyon? I need a new. It's new computer, so it's like we keep getting random Google Earth pictures. Sorry. So, anyways, yeah, that's I'm seriously, you guys. I keep going back. You guys probably all know this. I told you 100 times, but back in May, I was praying. The Lord told me Russia. May of 2015.
Oh, that's right.
2015, and the Lord just kept telling me Russia over and over again, and He told me nuclear. He also told me Sunday over and over and over again. I didn't know what it was until
nuclear.
We were standing there at the eclipse. You were telling me about the solar eclipse, the sun day. I was floored.
The day of the sun.
So we try to be led by the Holy Spirit. We don't always get the things right, but I do think that the things are lining up. I was telling this to Mom. I was like, Mom.
And the report says, I am healed, I am filled, and I am free and victory. And that's what we are living out. We are living in such an amazing time, and I want you guys to be excited. So thank you for being here. All of our moderators, worth a look. Maya, Gary, Will, thank you guys for being here. Once again, happy birthday to Kelly and Sean and Sheldon. And thank you for all the comments. If you didn't get your comment read out loud, they were literally like, we get thousands of comments in the live chat. It's really exciting to me to go back and look, but usually each video, every time we stream live, has like 1,500 to 2,000 comments. Put them in the comment section in the video afterwards because we want to hear what you guys have to say.
Citizen 6, P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150 if you want to send us letters. We love to just kind of make that connection versus just the computer letters kind of give us back to reality. We love to read them.
Tabitha says, I am a pagan and I love watching you girls and we love having you. You guys make us so happy. We have atheists. We have them all.
One of our dear friends is a pagan. Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
We won't say her name.
Right.
But we do Christmas and stuff because she's a pagan Christmaser.
Yeah, because it's a fun holiday.
But she likes Halloween. Too, obviously.
All right. Remember, it is not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Find us on Sunday. The clocks go back. So all of you guys here in the United States, for the states that participate.
Go back 1 hour.
Not tonight. Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Let's go back 1 hour.
And so make sure you adjust that for our Sunday show at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for finding us here. So good evening. God bless.
It's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. And Cindy needs to dinner, so I have to go.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, guys. We love you.